Hi there, and welcome to the Anita Chat podcast. I'm your host, Anita Rombo, and this is the podcast for growth-oriented women to have authentic, real talk. Nothing is off the table here, but as an intuitive self-relationship coach, you'll find the content gravitates towards mindset, intentional action, spirituality, and all things wellness. So if you're ready to learn, laugh, show up, and glow up to be the best version of yourself, grab your favorite bevy, settle in, and we've got lots to chat about. Hello everybody, and welcome to this episode of I Need a Chat. Today we're going to be talking about how to battle the blahs. Before we get into the episode, I just wanted to take a quick minute to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the love and support and receptivity that I've been getting related to this podcast. To be quite honest, this has surpassed all of my expectations in terms of the number of downloads I've received, the people that are tuning in from all over the world, some of the praise and shout outs that I'm getting on IG stories, as well as the lovely emails and direct messages that I'm getting. So just thank you so very much. And of course, if you would like to get in touch with me related to ideas for the show or feedback for the show, I'd be so happy to receive that. And I will include in the episode description and the podcast description mechanisms for you to get in touch with me either through email or my social media. And also, I'd like to take this minute to just thank the diehard Anita chatters who may have noticed that this podcast episode is a little late. I had recorded this episode, but truth be told, the energy behind it felt really off to me. And if you know me, I'm big on energy and feeling aligned. And so that led me to two things. One, I gave myself permission and reaffirmed kind of what I preach to take a step back and slow down and focus on my self-love and self-care, and to come back when I felt more rejuvenated so that I could bring the energy that I wanted back into my work in general and also to this podcast. And two, that gave me the idea for a self-love challenge. And that challenge will be the first of its type that I've ever hosted. It's going to be happening next week, Monday, February the 7th, and it'll go till February the 11th. And it will consist of daily videos dropped to people's inboxes with a little bit of a bite-sized lesson as well as a challenge for the day. And so I think that will be something that a lot of people could really benefit from. And with Valentine's Day around the corner and as still being in the throes of COVID and kind of the long stretch of winter, I just think that it's great to honor and invest and love ourselves. After all, we are our biggest investment. And so if you're interested in checking that out, I will also provide some more details in the episode description, and please do consider it if that resonates. And that brings me to this chat, how to battle the blahs. And obviously my current state is resonant, as I just mentioned. And I know I'm not alone because I'm also hearing it from friends and loved ones and clients. And I think it's just that time of year. As I mentioned, we're in the last leg of winter. Days are short and cold. Some of us are impacted by the season. I know I am. The excitement of Christmas is over. And for some of us, there's still COVID-related lockdowns and restrictions. And we're just kind of like going through every day wondering when this is going to end. And as I guess for those of you who celebrate in North America, today happens to be Groundhog Day, and it looks like we are in for an early spring, so maybe that's light at the end of our tunnel. But I just wanted to acknowledge that this kind of is a tricky time in general for me. I know every year around this time, this is kind of when my energy levels tend to peter out, and I know that I'm not alone, and I wanted to let you know that you are not alone, and that it's perfectly normal to experience these bouts of decreased energy and motivation and mood. However, that being said, this chat will go over some strategies that may help you get over this rut. It's by no means an exhaustive list of things that might help. And obviously everybody is different, and what works for some may not work for the other, but these are just some nuggets of wisdom that have worked for me and that I share often with my clients and might be useful to you. I also do want to acknowledge that if you've been experiencing these feelings and emotions for a longer period of time and you're feeling overwhelmed, please do not hesitate to talk to a healthcare professional and explore this further. Your health and well-being are number one, always, full stop, non-negotiable. That's the premise of me showing up late for this podcast. That's the premise for what I'm talking about in this podcast. That's the premise for the self-love challenge. So, certainly just apply your own discretion and look for help and explore other strategies if that is what will bring you closer to wellness. So with that being said, here are 7 strategies that have worked for me and that may also be helpful for you. The first one I've alluded to already in this episode, but it relates to prioritizing self-care. So I really do think that by taking a time out to prioritize our self-care and giving ourselves an opportunity to rest and recalibrate, we can come back feeling rejuvenated. So oftentimes when we are kind of in this low energy, low mood situation, it's usually because we're burnt out, we're tired, we're just spent. And again, there's so many reasons for us to potentially be feeling that way right now. But just think of us, for example, when we are able to go on a vacation and how we come back feeling rested and rejuvenated and ready to kind of tackle that next leg. So I know vacations may not be in the cards for a lot of you right now because travel is a little bit complicated, but even just kind of a staycation or even a day off, or even taking just a couple of hours out of your schedule for resetting for your well-being, I think is really great. So take time for you and prioritize filling yourself up with rest and nourishment and hydration and relaxation to the best of your ability. 2, I think it's important to have something to look forward to, like a light at the end of the tunnel. So for example, for those Groundhog Day revelers, the light at the end of a tunnel, and maybe for us too, is an early spring. And that gives us hope that this phase too shall pass. So whether it be that you have a countdown to spring, a takeout dinner on a Friday, a video call with your bestie, a trip a year from now, it doesn't really matter, but just having something pleasant to look forward to on the horizon makes the monotony more bearable and sometimes gives you that energy that you need to get through this period of monotony. 3, inject some spontaneity. So think about areas in your life where you can change things up. Bonus points if you can think about what aspects of your life are causing you to feel this way, and then what is in your locus of control to change. So for example, if your cabin fever is from being at home 24/7 due to the weather and the pandemic, can you change your home? Can you rearrange your furniture, paint a wall, add some plants to liven up the place? Can you dress in layers and get out and walk a block for a change of scenery and fresh air? If you're feeling a little bit uninspired with your job, can you ask to take on something a bit more challenging or sign up or learn a new skill to up-level your career in the long term? So even adding some color to your wardrobe can go a long way. So just think about some of those quick wins of where you can inject some spontaneity in your life and your surroundings to kind of freshen the energy. Also, if you've tuned into past chats, you know that I'm all over habits and routines, but with a few important caveats. So namely, they need to be revisited and you need to be flexible, or they need to be flexible. So if you feel like you're in a rut, I want you to think about whether you've become too regimented in your day-to-day approach, and also if the goals and habits you have made for yourself are still aligned to your interests and abilities. Maybe you're feeling unmotivated because they are too ambitious, and so it just leaves you with feeling overwhelmed. Or maybe you've already achieved them, which gives you a feeling of boredom. So revisit your habits and routine to ensure that they continue to add value and are realistic to your current state. If you recall in previous episodes, I really emphasized the importance of grounding in the why, and I think that that's an important consideration to make here as well. Some of those things that we do day in and day out are not necessarily things that maybe bring us joy, but we ground in the why because we know that they're important. So perhaps we go through the short-term pain for that long-term gain. So maybe this is just par for the course in creating a desired result or transformation or living a life aligned to an end state that you desire. So just keep that in mind. Another strategy that I found helpful, and we kind of already alluded to this as well, is to get moving. I'm sure I don't have to tell you the benefits of exercise. They're well documented and pervasive, but whatever the movement of choice for you, whether it be going to the gym, doing a class on YouTube, even short 10-minute bursts of low-impact physical activity such as walking have been shown to improve energy and mood. So I think this is a really powerful strategy. And in addition to these tangible strategies, there are also some mindset shifts that we can adopt to change the way we perceive our day-to-day. And I'll give you some examples, but one mindset shift that I really appreciate is Susie Moore has this idea of looking at your to-do list and reframing it as a get-to-do list. And this has really resonated with me. And even if we take a look at this podcast episode and recording it, a lot of effort and time goes into thinking through the content and recording it And it's on my to-do list, as it always is, to be done by a certain time. But because I was feeling so burnt out and restless and just kind of focused on this huge list and getting things kind of pared down to what I felt was a bit more manageable, I wasn't really bringing that high vibe energy or that enthusiasm that I normally have towards this activity. And so one thing that was really pivotal in the difference between the energy that I brought was, instead of just thinking of it as something that I have to do or should do or must do or something that's on my to-do list, it was something I get to do. How great is it that I get to spend some time recording something that I'm passionate about for people to listen and tune into all over the world? Another mindset shift that instantly changes my view of a routine activity is staying in the present moment. So again, we talked about routine activities and how they might become boring and how you might be feeling uninspired and unmotivated and kind of low energy, potentially because you're burnt out, but also because things seem the same day in and day out. If you really focus on embracing and living in the present moment, you're approaching the activity not as something that needs to be checked off the list to be done again tomorrow, but as a moment in time that is unique and irreplaceable. So if I were to take that example of picking up and dropping off my children again, let's just say I was dropping them to school in the morning, and because it's the morning and I've got like a whole day ahead of me and very ambitious goals, if I was really absorbed in my head about what I was going to be doing the minute I got back home after dropping them off, I'd be very impatient about dropping my kids off to school, and also so absorbed and in my head of thinking through what I need to do that I'm not really engaging with them properly. I'm kind of half in and half out of their conversations. However, if I am engaged in the present moment and not thinking about kind of what's coming up next, I'm tuning in and participating in their conversation and being able to kind of view and perceive the world through their eyes, which is such a unique and fun experience. Again, it's a routine activity. I have to drop my kids no matter what, and I have to do that every single day. But each day feels so much more richer when I could be in the present moment. So that brings me to a question for you guys. Out of these strategies, do you find any in particular work for you? Or, of course, acknowledging that there's so many other things out there, what have I missed? And that is it, folks. Thanks for tuning into the chat. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Anita Chat podcast. If you haven't taken a minute to leave a review, I would absolutely love to hear from you. All you need to do is to search for the show, click your star rating, and type in a few words. Also, if there's a specific topic you'd like to see covered in this podcast, if you'd like me to be your coach, or if you want to just chat, feel free to send me an email or shoot me a message through my IG, which you'll find in the show notes. The show notes will also contain any links to the freebies that were referenced in this episode. Until next time, friends, it's been great chatting with you.